doesn't give us the right to bash him in public in front of us. Now, what you say privately on your own time, away from any official, out of functions, is your problem. Okay? But at the dojo and here during classes, I've appreciated if we speak respectively for all of our senseis who've gone before us. That being said, the last couple of seminars that we've had, we've been working on fundamentals and working our way up. Before we actually formed this organization, I went through one time, did the whole 17, which we found out later we never filmed. Disembowel myself. And Matthew be my second with his dull wooden sword. But we decided the last seminar that we went to, we covered 1 through 5 of the basic 17. We actually, I think we studied the walk. Harry talked about the walk for a little bit, and I covered releases and 1 through 5 of the 17. So it was a very, very back to basics group. We had a group from San Angelo that had a bunch of white belts that are here. We have a bunch of folks here that aren't that basic anymore, so I think the next section we can carry on, we can pick up the tempo just a little bit. My plan for this evening session was to cover 6 through 10 of the Nana Hon Kata. Shouldn't have to explain too much, but I mean, questions can arise. Y'all that are teachers or have some beginning students, if you need. I think the other thing we covered was break falls the last seminar too, and we had those girls from your club, no, San Angelo, that we taught how to do a break fall. The girl was like going, "Oh, I've never seen this before." So we're going to cover. I'm going to try to cover 6 through 10 in this one evening session. The next, 2.5 hours, whatever it is that it takes. And then right after that, hopefully we'll go somewhere and eat food and drink lots of beer and get ready for tomorrow preparation. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to cover the first 5 of Big Ten. We do have 2 crash pads for people who need the crash pad, who can't take the big falls. I understand not everybody can do the big falls. We're not worried about that. We have the main part about this is to get the timing, get the entry. Gake is not all it's cracked up to be sometimes. If you don't have all the parts, then Gake sucks. We have 2 big crash pads over here, a king-size mattress and a big foamy one back there somewhere. I don't know where it went, but we have a big foam crash pad that we can pull out for anyone who is not comfortable taking the bigger falls. The Big Ten is a requirement for your knee-on, for anyone going up for knee-on, and or anyone wanting to teach the whole idea. So in the afternoon, we're going to have Mike and Carla going to discuss 11 techniques out of Go Kata. I really didn't catch on if they were the first 11 or just you picked and choose 11 techniques out of the middle ones. That's fine. Some of the folks that are going up for Yodan and Godan need the Go Kata, at least understand some of the principles of Go Kata. So we can pick some of these techniques out of there and pick and choose, and they're middle 11. It's a fun kata. It's just like the second half of Yon Kata. It's a fun kata. I think you'll have fun learning that. The afternoon session will be John and there he is, Matthew's demonstration. Hopefully they'll pass for meet-on demonstration. Right after that, we'll have dinner, and hopefully maybe even a board meeting if they're having enough board members here to actually have a quorum in the board meeting. I think it's time to elect new officers of the dojo, but we'll have to go over that. Sunday morning, hopefully Mr. Wright will be here, and he's going to go over his Kihari system once again. When you get into these release motion system that he's got, it's a fun little system. It's very dynamic. It's tempting not to go really fast. I mean, to go really fast. The thing is, it's very dynamic, and you have to keep putting your brakes on to go slow to memorize the stuff. And once you memorize it, then you throw it out in the toilet because you've gotten everything down. So that's the schedule for the weekend. Again, feel free if you sit down, pull up a couch if you get tired, if your knees get stiff. I have some ibuprofen and whatnot in the drawers. And, try to make you as comfortable as possible. So, if you don't have any other further questions on that, we'll get started on 6 through 10. Okay. Randy, want to be my okay? I should have Mr. Powell come up and be my okay, but he's testing, so I don't want to hurt me. Yeah. When we did our 17-week series on the 17, Mr. John here was my uke for 17 weeks and all 17 techniques, and so he learned them really quick. And he goes, "Oh, I understand it now." And then I drove him home. He said, "I have a question." Okay. I'm gonna discuss it one step. I'm gonna show these techniques first, one step at a time with the one-step katas, just being here and then moving. And at the end, after we've covered them all, what I'll do is I'll back up. We'll do the regular three-step kata and just do all 5 of those 6 through 10. Okay, we'll go this way for the camera here. If you can't see, feel free to move, please. Again, you know the universal sign. It's either move this way or move this way if you can't see. That's the universal symbol. You don't have to holler at me. Just stick your hand up in the air, wave your finger. And that tells me to turn around. The camera guy's like that. Okay. Oshi Taoshi. As you're moving into Oshi Taoshi, you step off just barely offline. I'm only using one hand for just a minute. Don't get me wrong, I have to stop and talk, and I have a hard time using both hands and talking at the same time. What I'm trying to do when I get this motion is I'm stepping off at that slight 45 angle, and I want his hand to try to get to the center of his center, right in line with his belt knot. If I push it any further than that, he can recover his balance very easily. And if I step way out over here, he can recover his balance very easily, even if I have the other hand up over here. So I'm looking for that neat little timing, which, by the way, if you see that little timing, it comes in great later on in Koryo-Dai-san. So as I catch that timing, boom. That's where I want him to be, that motion there. I can now withdraw down the line of his feet and get that motion. Remember, hand and feet have to be working at the same time. Now from here, I want to push him just ever so. I've discovered this actually, about the last 6 months. I'm actually going to be sending him parallel down the line. The common habit of a lot of beginners is they take this elbow and they push it straight down that line, and he just rotates out. What I found is when you get him right here down that line, and my center is facing into him, and I'm basically doing shomanate to his elbow. I'm picking up, and it feels just like your chin. You see right here, it's like a Tori's chin sitting right there, round bump. It's like, feels the same way. And what I'm doing is I'm taking him down this fourth toe, right down the line of that fourth toe. That's why I'm saying it's perpendicular to this line of tape that he has to be standing on. When I take him down that fourth toe, the only way he can get to move is he has to step through himself. And I turn my center ever so slightly to get that motion, and then once he steps, I can now readjust my center. So I'm making this motion. We go toward the camera just here. I'm coming up from here. I'm facing this way when I start, and as soon as my foot hits the ground, I readjust that way. So I'm continuing that motion. Y'all see that? Okay. And it's fun because when you start doing judo, you start getting your kazushis and your toes off the fourth toe, and it's really difficult for him to stand up. Now, if I bring him off his little toe from here, he can just step right around it. And if I bring him off his big toe, he steps right through it. And he hits me when he starts playing Yon Kata all of a sudden. And he starts taking me out. So my attack, forward toe, down the line, get to the armbar. I'm partial to removing the hand off the elbow as he's going down. And when you start doing this thing with your hakunas, your toes get caught in the hakuna and everything else, and you start tripping. Here you are leaning on this guy's elbow. Not safe. Okay? Now, that being said, I also didn't say take your hand away as soon as he starts. This motion has to be once he has decided to go down. Boom, now I can take it away because what's bringing him down is my keeping his hand out in front of him. I don't let him outrun me. If I let him outrun me and I do this, boom, there's no takedown there. So I want to try to stay ahead of him as I bring him down. Okay? Adjust into it. Try to have his arm as much as 90 degrees possible. And I know I'm talking real basic for some of y'all. Please forgive me if it's like just way too basic. But sometimes you just need to rehear some things. We'll turn around for just a second for y'all. Get that arm 90 degrees or preferably a little more forward. Hand to the elbow. Drop your center on the elbow. We'll turn around and go the other way, sir. toward these people here. So I say, if I get too basic, please bear with me. Motion, off, down. Stay ahead of him. Adjust. Now, the base that you have with this thing depends on the limberness of Uke's shoulder. You start working with Matthew, you can just like crank his arm up over here and tie the pretzel knot with the other one because he has no joints. They're all sinew. Okay? You work with some other folks like John Powell. His shoulders are rather tight, and so you're not going to be able to get him to come up to any position. I've discovered through the years that a common habit is when people want to apply this arm bar, they drop the shoulder. They want to lean that shoulder into it. Well, that actually, I won't say it stops the application of the arm bar, but it slows it down. Because what I've done now is I'm now putting my force, instead of going to the floor, I'm directing my force back toward my heel. And it takes a while to apply. Whereas if you come here, you look forward, locking your spine in a straight line, now you just drop your center. And it happens much faster because now I'm dropping all my weight on that elbow. Okay? Do a reset. Questions? No? Okay. Ask that you please get up and try that. And first go slow, first go one step. We have enough room, I think, where we can do the takedown when you're going slow. Again, things to worry about. That 45, catching him off to this hand of the center, retreating when he steps, push down that fourth toe, and then keep that arm ahead of him as you go down. Don't bend the shoulder when you apply the arm bar. Okay? Thank you. Try that. Waiting for Tim's room. There we go. If y'all are aiming it right at me, I can actually see the little red lights come on. So I'll know. Okay? You don't have to wave at me. So I'll look for red lights. Just a couple of observations on this. When I like to preface these things with this is just one man's opinion. From experience of doing these things, there's many different ways of interpreting, and every tape you plug in is going to have a different way of telling you how to do this. The reason I do this technique, when I get this kazushi here, I like to go straight backwards on it from that angle. I think a long time ago, and it might still be being taught, that you come here, after you got the kazushi, then you go back to where you came from, so that you can push down the line. My issue with that is, if I work so hard to get this kazushi, theoretically in principle, if I work so hard to get this kazushi, why do I want to put him potentially back on balance? I go right back to where we started from. I've found if I'm here and I've got this kazushi, I can now move my feet faster by going straight back. And I'm maintaining that kazushi the whole time instead of risking losing it at all. Now, I can just pick up my foot and push and do what I need to do. The steps when you do these, don't let your students fall into the trap of thinking I have to take big steps. If you have a big uke and a tall tori, a short uke and a tall tori, or vice versa, almost all the time the short person falls into the trap of they're big, I have to take steps equal to them. The other trap that I've found that people get into is they think I'm a big guy, I have to take big steps. Well, that second big step that I need to get to so I can have my same hand, same foot position is put him right back on balance again. If you maintain a normal step for you, you've done everything you need to do. Just normal walking steps. I pick up and fall over here, small shuffle step, shuffle step. That second shuffle step becomes a necessary part to just move, get your center of gravity moving. so that I can shift feet. If I'm stuck over here, I have to figure out something to do with this foot. Well, I can't just do this because I'll be pulling it back on top of me. So instead, I just fall backwards just enough to start my center moving. Clunk. Now that my center is moving, I can shift my foot. And it puts me in my same hand, same foot posture at that time. Okay? So don't fall in that trap of saying, I got to take big steps all the time. No, you don't got to. You just take normal walking steps for you. Normal falling steps. Boom. Boom. Okay? The other thing I've discovered is on the takedown. They go to do the arm bar on you, and they start to look down. Well, not bend over, just to look down. Okay? Well, we're assuming you're not a white belt. Okay? You're at least a brown belt or something, and you know better than bending at the waist. But you still have this tendency to want to look down at the elbow and to look down and watch me grimace in pain as my arm snaps into two and blood spurts from my arm and all that stuff. That's what you want to look at, right? But you need to avoid that, because if he looks down, he has now put his head and his whole body off balance perpendicular to the line of his feet, which is one of the worst places he can be as far as his own off balance. Because as he ducks down, he's had to slightly shift his body, and I can pull him straight on top of him. I just showed this with Frankie just a minute ago, and now I'm using my non-dominant hand on him. But if he's here and he decides to keep his head looking up, he's now got good posture. Go ahead and just drop your center down. And now I can't pull him for nothing, and I'm having to fight him. And he's keeping that posture. As soon as he decides to look down, I take him over, and then we go to grappling again. Okay? Avoid that. I don't want to see that elbow snapping too. No, I want to hear it. Okay? I want to hear that as both those bones come right out of the elbow joint. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. Let's go on to the second one. Had brain fart, can't remember the names. Udigaishi. Udigaishi, number 7, as it's affectionately known to most of us. I make my entry to number 6, Oshitoshi. I make my entry to Oshitoshi just like I've been doing, and he all of a sudden, I remember this technique. He says, oh no you don't. For whatever reason, he might be leaning too much. I don't quite have this arm straight up and down perpendicular. Any one of a number of reasons, he's able to bail out. Boom. When he bails out, you notice what's happening with his arm. He's pulling with his whole arm this way. The elbow doesn't lose contact, but I feel the pull in the hand right here. And that's what's getting me to come forward, is his right hand. This one here holding on. That's how I know if he's stepping or not, because he's trying to get that arm back. As he does, boom, I step, hip invert, and then thread the needle. And bring him right down, perpendicular to the line of his feet. We'll go this way for the East Coast audience. Just like number 6, oh, bring him back. Okay? And then do the takedown from there. I'll cover the takedown in just a second. One of the things you're working on for this technique is this joint. I shouldn't say you're working on it, you're working with it. And this joint happens to be, it thinks round all the time. It likes to make circles, big circles. So when he's up here and he's pulled his hand, now I'm not telling you to do this, but if you want to play it as a game for just a minute or as a drill for just a minute, when he goes to pull, take your left hand and just push in that elbow. And you watch his body, it just completes that big circle for you. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you pushing it and exploding that elbow. I'm telling you can work on it as a drill to see that circle motion. As you're making this motion, he goes, boom, and you hip invert on. Common error from when you're working with your students, common error is when they get to here, they take 1, 2, 3 steps and they end up right in front of it. If I end up right here and I happen to have, or he happens to have suntan lotion all over his thing, all over his wrist, and my hands go, I'm getting a back fist to the forehead. Or sweat for some people who are very profusely sweating. So I don't want to be right under this wrist here. I want to be to the outside of it over here. So if I do let go, he's like boom over there somewhere. Okay? Now remember I'm talking about the train guys. I'm not talking about dealing with Mike Haygood of the world who go, oh fine, you want to play that game? Smack. Okay, they can do it anyway. Okay, we're talking about Bubba. And not Harry either. Not that Bubba. Okay? Step, push, bring him out, keeping that posture broken the whole time. Step through, bring him down. Whoa. He fell faster than I thought. Bring him down. The hook here. Okay? I'm going to move my knee out of the way for just a minute. I've had a bunch of people tell me, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, but they're absolutely right. It doesn't work. It's a control. Yes, you can lock the wrist and lock the elbow, but you haven't really effectively controlled the rest of the body. That's like I explained it to one person, you had the little videotapes. And the videotape, you hit the pause button right here. You hit this pause button, and you're doing this. And then you can plug in another tape that says, Uke does ... Uke attacks with his hand. Uke raises a foot. Uke raises both feet. Whatever. You pull it, and then you plug in that videotape, and that's where you carry on from here. This is just a control. I mean, I don't have nothing here. Yeah, it hurts real bad, but I have to really be forcing on it. Either that or my technique sucks so bad that I don't understand this technique. Mike's over there frowning at me. I must not understand the technique. So I get to here. Put your hand perpendicular to the floor and rotate it out. Don't put it on the floor. Your finger's on the floor because you won't get that control. Put it perpendicular to the floor and rotate it out. Okay? This hand is your striking hand. This is your threatening hand. This is what's causing him to tap. You can do head strikes, elbow strikes, and you can catch that hand should he decide to use it against you, and you can roll him over and do whatever you want to do from there. Go to the other arm bar from the other side if you need to. That's what that hand is there for. All right? So you try to do oshitoshi all the way through. You need to go this way for the camera. You try to do oshitoshi all the way through. He's seen it. Remember, I'm trying to do oshitoshi. I'm all the way up to here. He doesn't pull out of the way until I start to do oshitoshi. Boom. That's his clue to go. Don't get a death grip in that hand. It's a gentle hook or squeeze. Here, I push. Boom. Grab the needle. Push down. Control. And let him up. Any questions on that? Again, posture, go slow. Try to do oshitoshi. If you try to think you're going to do udi, whatever this is, udigaishi, if you try to think udigaishi, it'll never happen. You have to think oshitoshi, and then uke will give you that gentle response that you need to remind you, oh, it's not going to work. Okay? Okay, try that, please. Okay. One of the things that was just pointed out that I'm doing, but I didn't say to do, and since I didn't say it, no one else is doing it. Because when you're doing, that's a joke, people. I know y'all are advanced. I'm just teasing. When you're getting to here and you're making your motions, don't walk into it and bend the elbows and get to here. Everything is straight arms. It's you get to here, straight arms. You move back, straight arms. You push in, straight arms. Okay? Don't get in the habit of coming up over here and thinking he's doing this. He's not. Okay? Because as soon as I get to here and I start doing this, I get a belt to the ribs, boom, broken arms, whatever, from there. Messed up knee, Carl would come over and do tai toshi on snap your elbow as you go across, okay? The street tile. Don't see the difference between tai toshi and street tile? No, you don't want to. Okay. So it's here, 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 and down. I'm letting them arms straight on. Don't bend those elbows. Thank you. So carry on. moves into me, first of all, we keep bouncing back and forth with each other. So as Randy moves into me, again, I get my 45 perpendicular off balance outside of the arm thing. But what I'm going to do this time is I feel him leaning on me just a little bit. I can't get that retreat motion because he'll be falling on me. It's just one of these things I kind of sort of feel. So instead, what I'm going to do is as he starts to get that drive onto me, that little bit of motion, I bail out of the way. Okay. Continuing him to that off balance, that perpendicular. As Randy moves into me, I get that kazushi, he leans on me, boom, bring him. Now he's standing up because I'm stopping the motion halfway through this technique. Okay? Bring him, keeping that hand, always getting it to that perpendicular. I'm jumping out right in front of him. Alright. One of the things I like to play with all the time is hands in the center and mine. Every time I do this stupid game, all the little white belts go, ooh, he's a demigod. And it's just a matter of keeping your hand in your center. If I keep my hand right here where it's supposed to be, and I've stepped out to that perpendicular, and I have the off balance I need, as I rotate around, his hand, now notice my hand never leaves my shoulder, his hand will fall right into mine. Again, for the East Coast audience here, I'm here, I have the proper kazushi with his hand to the center, my hand to my center, my hand to my center. Now I'm going to rotate around this hand, and I'm going to let go of this hand as we go around. Okay? And there's some physics thing that Tim says is top secret, and he can't explain to me why that works. Well, he did. He said, but you never understand it. So what I want to do is, now, you're not supposed to be doing this with one hand. You're supposed to be using two, okay? So as you get this kazushi over here, you rotate around this motion, just let your hands go. Continue motion. One, boom, boom. Now, beginners have it. One, and then they go, well, nothing's happening. I picked him way up in the air in my entry. I've gone one, way up here, and then I intentionally flailed him around. Two, and nothing really has happened. He's still on balance. He can still continue to walk into me. All I want him to do is to fall. One, two. The flash to the face, the second half of this technique, is what keeps him from jumping all over the rest of the way. So I go one, two. That puts the brakes on. Once he's applied the brakes, I now continue my backward motion. Boom, I bring him down for a particular line of his feet. Step into the shoulder nice and gently and carefully. Again, I'm not grabbing. Now, depending on your gait, depending on your shoulder, you may have to get a deep base. You may use a shallow base. Okay? See it? On Matthew, it doesn't matter. You won't feel it anyway. Okay? He taps out just to make you flip it. So you get to here, look forward, drop your center. Again, your base, how wide your base is depends on how tight that arm is. Some guys won't let you get that shoulder that far forward. They'll be tapping out before you get there. As far as entry goes, I've seen it two different ways. I've seen it completely outside butterfly this way, and I occasionally fall back into that mode. That's the way I originally learned it. I'm not going to tell you there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way I learned it, and I jump into that mode all the time. Or you can do your double outside motion as usual. Boom. Controlling that hand. As you pivot around, it'll still fall into your center hand. So either way is fine. The problem with this inside butterfly or outside butterfly, I mean, is you start to get this twirly motion with it. You start making the technique happen instead of just letting it fall into you. Okay? It looks easier than it is, but it's a fun move, especially because it's dangerous because you're stepping right in front of Uke and you're pulling right on top of you. And you have to run backwards. With this, he can run forward faster than you can run backwards. The other thing to watch out for is you don't want to be too big of a flash, like this. You don't want to have the hand way up in the air. You don't want that big flash. You're really, really, really just trying to threaten the face with it. I know there's something I forgot to say, but I just can't remember what it is right now. Let's go this way for the East Coast audience and the cameras. Here. Well, yeah, we'll since we're this far out here. Actually, go this way then. Turn. Okay, walk this. 1, 2, 3. See, I went to the old way. Boom. You recording, John?
I'm replaying the old tape. Trying
Okay.
to remember what you didn't say.
Okay.
It'll come to me in a minute.
Any questions or comments on that? Yes, ma'am.
I remember something you said earlier in class.
Please.
Something about getting them on the rise, dropping back as they rise and drop.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Working with body rises and drops. On your entry, boom, and you made this motion. Kind of when you're going slow, this entry is easier. And you made your turn, and this hand flash. As this hand flashes and he's on the body rise, you let your hand relax, and now it becomes like a ping pong paddle in the ball, the work kind of thing. So, avoiding the flash for just a minute, as he's on his body rise, going backwards, I can put myself on a body rise and go backwards too. And that gets him to move forward. So, if you both down like this, for the sake of this experiment, now he's just trying to stand up because he's getting his head out of the way. I'm straightening my posture. It pulls him forward. Is that what I was saying? So entry, flash, boom. And I'm pulling backwards as he's rising up. I'm dropping backwards.
It was the paddle ball thing.
Yeah. And what I'm working for is, I'm not trying for both of us to be standing up at the same time, so much as he's standing up and I'm pulling backwards. Okay? I may or may not have my upright posture, but I just want to be moving backwards while he's trying to stand up. You gotta try and do the paddle ball. I have the paddle. Yeah. Little finger up on this one. That's Randy's comment was. When you get in this takedown, make sure that the little finger is up in the air. Boom. Get that elbow where it needs to be. Do it like this, you're gonna have a hard time pressing the elbow, it just bends. And most people's elbows don't rotate all the way around this way, they'll just fall out. You break fall out. Any other questions, comments? Alright, please go to the truck. We can have a huge thank you and Kim or any of these other big mass discrepancies. So we're gonna come on out, man. Y'all two are the originators of it. Can y'all work those cameras, please, just in case they move? Okay.
We were talking about the physics problem which occurs when you have somebody who is mass challenged versus somebody who is
Blessed.
mass sufficient.
Well
Mass
endowed.
sufficient. Well endowed. Or well centered. And from physics, we know that light masses go around and don't have, if I fire a ping pong ball at a bowling ball, for instance, it's a ping pong ball or a tennis ball, it's not going to have much effect on the bowling ball, heavier mass. Same is true with the rubber band theory. If he's doing a rubber band theory on this, all he's going to do is get me to jump on it. Even if he had a good, let's turn 90 degrees, same thing. Now, the way he can overcome this is actually the way that I learned it originally. that is when this time, we'll just do this step by step. Go. At this point, he is going to keep my hand low. Let's turn 90 degrees. I'm down here. Now I'm trying to get out of way there. And my balance is totally broken. Now all he has to do is step backwards. I'm going to take. So, this way. And this time we'll go through the whole thing. So the off balance he's looking for on this is keeping me low. Here's his initial off balance, and now he's making my head shoot back like this with this flash. And there's no way that I can recover on that. And
Is Matthew maintaining downward pressure?
he's not maintaining downward pressure as much as he is just holding it right where it was when he did the hand exchange.
Okay. So he's not doing a push down, he's just
No, he's not
holding
doing a
it
push
down,
down.
keeping it down.
Just keeping it down.
Like about.
Okay? That was what I had. We were noticing this because there are a lot of us in here who are mass well endowed, and there are a few people who are not so well endowed, and we want this to work for everybody.
I'd like to try this. Some of you less endowed folks grab one of the more endowed folks and give it a try and see what happens. For just a minute.
Cell phones and things work.
Now, the other thing you almost noticed, I'm sure you almost noticed, this technique almost jumped into number 9. You see how easy it almost slipped right into number 9? Matthew almost did it accidentally where he's trying to bring Tim down. Tim was falling forward, and he's like, Matthew was reaching in for number 9. So don't go to number 9 yet, please. Just work on what Tim was showing, work what I'm showing for another few minutes. We're going to go to number 9 in just a minute.
I think I pressed pause. I pressed something. I pressed this button, okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Good Ignary. Number 9. Just like Spanish. Spanish has the formal and the familiar. The familiar is number 9. Entry. But for whatever reason, I missed this, or whatever reason, he's anticipated it, he's seen it before, or in some cases, just like we were discussing before, like Matthew almost was being pulled into, the masses are different, he's being pulled into it. I want to threaten his head no matter what. If his head is up there, it doesn't become a threat. So I want him to get his head out of the way. So if he's going to pull on me and I know damn, I want him to get that head out of the way. If you smack him with Shomanate, more power to him. Just take him in the next week. Okay? And then you can just keep on running. You just trample him, keep on going. Okay? Now, please don't pull that fast when you're practicing this. Here's my Kazushin, my entry, and he pulls, thread the hand. Shoot. Two things have to take place in this one. Actually, 3 things. The third one is so subtle you never see it. You get to here. Thread this hand down and up. Down and up. This hand just comes across. Now, the third thing that's real subtle is I'm going to be leaning into him a little bit, like almost on top of him. And it keeps his weight on that front foot. I almost want close body contact. And then when I start my hip inversion, the hands push. Those of y'all with a punch kick background, you lock your hand to your other wrist, you hip invert this way, and you raise your right knee. And then 2 or 3 times if you're in a karate tournament. Okay? Everything has to be done in 3s. For whatever reason in karate, I haven't figured that out yet. 3 crotch kicks, pow, 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 and going as if he's going to be standing there for the other 2. You have to figure that out. Okay? So don't lock the hand. These karate guys are here smiling because they know it's true. Hook, step, pull. When you're moving your feet on this pull, depending on how strong your uke pulls, you might find yourself flying through the air. If that's the case, you might want to step to the other foot. You found yourself here, and he's pulling. Well, you don't want to go. Hang on. You don't want to go over here and do one of these big flying side kicks over to the air over here. Okay. Hate to say this, but if he wants to pull that hard, let go. Duh. What a concept. Why do I want to hold on to this animal? If he can tug my ass halfway across the floor, why do I want to hold on to it? I don't. I step over here and he yanks on it. Boom! Let go and smack him. Brilliant! It's like, I can let go? What a concept. That's right. So, if he wants to do these giant, horrendous Yankee pulls, just let go. And guess what? He is so planted, he's going to toast himself. Boom. Smack him with Shomanate. I see it coming in. We're all going to practice this, you know that, don't you? Okay. All these animals from Alabama going, hey, we got to practice this shit, okay? This gets done. Okay, I can see it coming, man. He's like, Kim, let me pull you, okay? See if it works, okay?
No, I know now. Maybe before.
Okay? Step, don't give a giant yet. You're just trying to anticipate this technique. You've seen the technique happen. Okay? And the only reason he would have to give you this giant pull is if he got a death grip with his hand. He feels threatened with his hand. Because out here, there's no threat to his face. He feels threatened by this. Well, I don't want him to feel that threat. Remember earlier? I don't want him to feel that threat. Here we go. You say, oh, Mr. Williams, you're not passing far enough. Well, let me do this. Thank you. Right where I need to be now. Don't threaten with the hand. This is going, is it really that simple? Okay? You have to want, just like the other combination techniques, you have to want to do the first one. I have to be wanting to do that one, and he doesn't like that. Just like counters in judo for all you judo animals. In order to do the counter or the combination throw, you have to want to do the first throw first. Otherwise, you're just doing a fake technique, and you don't get the reaction that you need to get the counter you're really looking for. Okay, one more time. Now let me see it this way. There we go. Entry, boom, zip. Okay, see my little lean on in there? That's kept us off balance going. Down, hook, hook, hip invert. That's all you do is you hip invert and push with both hands. Again, if you don't like him, you lock your arm and hip invert and raise your knee. Police can do that. Nobody's looking. I have a badge. Tell your supervisor, what happened? He tripped. He pushed on me, and I lost my balance. I had him here in this controller, sir, and then he pushed on me. Well, I had to pick my foot up to gain my balance again. Trying to keep from falling. That's right. I'm trying to keep him from hurting himself.
So he wouldn't hurt himself.
That's right. I'm trying to keep him from hurting himself, sir, and he fell on me, and I had to regain my balance, and I was being fallen over, and so I just.
Is that why he flew 20 feet from the floor?
Okay, any questions on that? Give that a try. One more time, remember you're trying to do number 8, and he pulls on you. Push. Try that. I know everybody's getting tired, but like I said, we're trying to cover 6 through 10, and don't have a whole bunch of white belts in here to try to teach these two. And you will get a copy of this, sir, so that you can take with you. Yeah, Keith is gonna be gone for like 2 months. He's here for a month and gone for 2 months, and here for 2 months and gone for 3 months. Number 10, Wake Gatame. Again, I preface each technique with there's several ways of doing it. I found this one to be the easiest way for almost everybody. As you're making your entry, all I want to do is I want to take his hand and push it straight over his shoulder. Boom. And just keep on walking. At one point, he'll tell me when it's time to turn. Okay? When he starts to pull that arm, his body starts to turn, he tells me when it's time to turn. 1, 2, 3. We'll end up, we'll do it the other way in just a minute. You end up with your control of the shoulder, the hand here. Inhale, lean out, look forward. Get that right first time. Here. 1, 2, 3. Control. Hand on the elbow, little finger up, lean out over your right foot and inhale. Now the fun part about this, the counter for Wake Gatame is Gate Anate. So if I don't quite have my Gate Anate, hit my Wake Gatame coming in, he can hit me with Gate Anate. Smack. Okay? But the fun part is the counter for Gate Anate is Kote Gaeshi. Again, common mistakes that I've noticed that's happened over the years, at least in my dojo, is people want to do this. They come up, pick the hand up in the air, and then walk right into this diaphragm punch. Okay? John Powell likes to cure a lot of people with that. And you have a fourth dan and like 2 or 3 kicking arms. You're like, oh boy, a free hand, an open rib. Not anymore. Okay? The other thing that people do is they'll come out here and they try to go too far at 90 degrees. They'll come up over and take the hand and they'll pull this way, and then they're ending up pulling uke into them, setting their own selves up for Gate Anate again. Throw yourself. There's a difference between pulling your hands and letting your hands collapse. One of the demonstrations I give is I hold on to uke. I do this. One version. I need either too much or not enough coffee. One version is I'm holding on to him and I do this. I'm pulling him into me. The other version is I do this. My arm collapses and I move into him. The common error on Wake Gatame is to pull him into you. You come here and you come here, then you go, and that little right there plants his foot early and sends you into Gate Anate. Instead, if you think keep pushing, push, push. Now right here, I'm stepping into his arms. I just let my arm collapse. I continue that downward push, but I just let, this is the one time to let your elbows bend. No, okay. But I'm not pulling him into me this way. I'm doing this versus this. Okay, y'all see the difference? So when I do the motion, my foot should hit at about the same time as his does when he completes the turn. No, that was bad. Did y'all see what I did? How many of y'all saw me screw up? Never?
There
Oh,
will be
no,
no
no, no.
sensei bashing.
If you're gonna be a teacher, man,
Who's showing what not to do?
that's right. You're gonna be a teacher. Let your students know that you're not invincible. There we go. Yes, ma'am. This way. questions on it? Good. Play to that for the next 10 minutes or so, 15, and we'll stop and go eat and drink there. Did you catch mine too, please?
I can figure out which button.
Yeah, just press the, it's like you gotta push up one, then press the red button.
Press up,
Press the green button and go up.
up.
You raise your thumb up and it pushes it down, actually.
Yeah. This way.
Then press the red button, it'll record. There we go. When you're doing the walking katami, make sure that as you're pushing through, you want this elbow to come over across the top and you want to control that shoulder. You want to be holding on to that shoulder. You don't want to be down here with it. If you don't control that shoulder, he can walk all around you. Motion as you walk through, you're pushing, boom, control the shoulder. Lock that puppy into you. And hold it tight. One of the escapes for walking katami is uke bends over or uke does a roll out on you. I can let you do it. He bends way over on you and you can't get that walking katami. That's one of the escapes you have that done to you. Just bend over. So if you don't let uke bend over, if you can control the shoulder, you have a hard time bending over on you. Now you just take it the judo style, which is down the line. That way. Instead of that nice one perpendicular out front. Yeah, you can do a left side front. Yeah, you can do a left side break fall from here.
You see the chiropractor.
Keep searching for some plates and skirts.
I can hear now, Mr. Frankie, how did this prisoner dislocate his shoulder and break his elbow? You know, sir, it was raining and I had on my dress shoes and the leather soles at the bottom of those shoes. I was trying to bring them in, sir, and I just slipped.
He pushed into me.
You showed me.
Ugh,
Okay?
tragic.
So, control the shoulder. Control the shoulder. 1, control the shoulder. 2, lock it in. Inhale. Lean. Like I say, Matthew likes to tap just to make you feel good. There are ways around that. We're not going to discuss it right now because all y'all, right, you know how to get out. Left side break forward is pretty good. Okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, what I'd like y'all to do, go ahead and turn it off. What I'd like y'all to do is back up and do all 5 of them.
There's an interesting variation in those for walking katami. You're going to start out the same way. You're pushing. You keep pushing your hands. Notice what is happening to her wrist. I'm just going to push up with this hand to the back of her wrist and step into her arm. Grab her wrist, grab the back of her hand, lock it straight to my center. Now, one advantage of this, if you have the fingers pointed straight up, they cannot scoop you. Okay? If you're here, you're going to scoop, come into a fall, whatever like that. Basic structure of the body. If she pushes forward into a scoop, she's putting pressure on her own wrist. So the more she pushes in, the more pressure she's applying to her own wrist. Okay? Walk into it the same way that you did before. Let this just slide right into place, and it locks into the center of your body. Pull your elbows in. This position right here, you've got total control over. You don't want to push. Now, you think that it's because I'm so much larger than her that this is working. I want to guarantee you that's not the case. She's going to do it very, very slowly. Push, get in position, lock it right into the center of your body. Now, the way I'm positioned, the only way I can go is down. And she just holds it right there, and I'm nowhere near her leg to scoop her. It's an excellent control technique.
Anybody want, are you done?
Yes.
I was going to ask if anybody want to try that. It looked like you're fixing to say something else. So.
Anybody wants to try it, you're welcome. fingers up, grabbing your wrist, locking it to the center of my chest. Walk your elbow in place. Okay, can you scoop?
No. No, yeah, you're right. That's the only direction I can go.
That's the only direction you can go. You're gonna do it to me now. It's a push. You don't keep on pushing.
Yes.
Okay. Grab the hand. Back of the wrist. Right there. I want your fingers here. Turn my fingers to the ceiling.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it.
Okay.
Just hold it right there. Don't put pressure on it.
Oh, okay.
Hold it.
Just hold the fingers up.
Curl your fingers.
Okay.
Curl your fingers. Now just hold it right there. There's no real pressure on me. But as soon as I come in to try to scoop you,
Yeah.
I put pressure on my own wrist.
I can feel it banging up
Mhm.
really bad.
I can feel it too. Okay? It's very, very strong because you're using your own center. Okay, Carla? Go slow. She's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah. Push. Push into her.
Oh, I'd rather not.
Size isn't an issue in here. It's body structure, body positioning. If I lock her into my body and lock this hand up, this hand is not meant to move from this position. It's not made to do that. Okay? If I keep it away from my body, everything changes. I'm going to go or I'm going to throw her. But just right to the center, push her elbow in, control her wrist, control the back of her hand straight up. Now I'm just standing on the street, just like this, not doing a thing. And this is perfect out in the street, because you can hold them like this. You just hold them. Come on, come on, come on. You've got perfect control, especially here. Okay? That's it.
Now you sure